These are 10 financial boundaries which are gonna ensure you build wealth. Most people out there are not poor because they don't earn. They are poor because of how they are establishing boundaries. In case people coming to you with issues, you always give them money, you can't say no, you don't know how to establish financial boundaries, chances are you're gonna continue struggling financially, and yet you have the ability to fix this. That is why in this video, I want to share 10 ways you can go about establishing financial boundaries for you to be financially okay and build wealth. In case you are new here, my name is Afagza Sifuna. I am a finance expert and qualified accountant, bringing you amazing videos about investing and making money each and every day. In case these are kind of topics which you like, down there is a button called subscribe. Kindly subscribe to this channel for you not to miss on the videos I upload each and every day. And while you still at it, drop a like on this video. Thank you for subscribing and also liking this video. And with that, the first thing you need to do is never spend more than you earn. What do I mean? Out here, majority of people get in trouble because they do spend more than they earn, whether by their own doing when it comes to budgeting or even when it comes to financial boundaries, stretching their limits to be able to accommodate other people financially, yet they are spending more than they are earning. Don't do that. Simply put, you are responsible for your own financial health. If you spend more than you are earning, where are you going to get the money for the deficits, okay? And then, the second boundary which you need to establish is don't lend money which you can't afford to lose. And I'm saying this because I think it's important. I don't mean you be selfish, but then again, the truth is that if you have been struggling to establish financial boundaries, chances are that habit is going to take some time for you to come out of it. If you've been giving people money without really following up on payments, you won't wake up one day and then miraculously be very perfect at executing follow-up on payments to recover your money. That is why only aim to lend what you can lose, okay? Don't lend money for your essentials and don't lend money which you can't lose. That is going to safeguard you because it's going to mean you're going to only lend very little amount of money if you have to, because chances are almost all the money which you have, you can't afford to lose. And then the third way you can establish financial boundaries is you having a giving budget. What do I mean? Out here, of course, I appreciate in the society we live in, we sometimes have responsibilities beyond ourselves or even immediate family. But then again, that doesn't mean that you are the ticket to other people's financial well-being while you suffer. Case in point, it is okay to support your extended family. It is okay to support your siblings. It is okay to support your parents. It is okay to support other people who are close to you. But then again, you only support them within the confine of how you can support them and to the extent you can support them. You can't just be, for example, earning and then supporting people out there or giving your money, over 50% of it, to people out there. That is why you need to budget. If, for example, you say your giving budget is 2% of your income, stick to that. If you exert that particular 2%, when someone borrows you when you have already given the 2%, kindly decline. And then, the fourth boundary you need to establish is that don't finance other people's lifestyle. Guys, I've seen out here adults who are suffering because they are financing other people's lifestyle out there. Basically put, people are depending on them like parasites. Case in point, if for example you have a friend who tells you they want to buy iPhone 17 Pro, right? They have 150,000 Kenya shillings. They are falling short of maybe 50 or 70K. How comes you are the one volunteering to give them money? That is you financing other people's lifestyle at your own expense, okay? You need to prioritize yourself instead of financing other people's lifestyle out there. Of course, there's a thin line between responsibilities of an adult and financing other people's lifestyle. Responsibilities are very clear. It is you catering for what the needs are. But when you go beyond and start catering for what the wants are, more so at your own detriment financially, that is you financing other people's lifestyles, and you need to stop immediately. And then, the fifth boundary which you need to establish is, by all means, protect your emergency fund. Remember, in all my videos, I typically say it is important for an adult to build an emergency fund, at least have maybe about 6 months worth of your subsistence expenses saved somewhere in an emergency account. You having this account is your protection. By all means, don't tap into that account. When people come to you, for example, with problems telling you like, hey, for example, I need money, I'll refund you next week. Yes, they need money, but you also need to be ready for emergencies. What if you give them maybe 40% or even 50% of your emergency funds, and then an emergency hits, maybe you lose your job, and they haven't refunded you? You're going to be in a tight financial position. That is why you need to protect your emergency fund by all means. Build the fund and also have the discipline of not cashing out from the fund to cater for other people's lifestyles out there, or their regular emergencies at your own detriment. And then the sixth, where you need to establish boundaries, is that don't let lifestyle inflation hit you. Lifestyle inflation is whereby basically you continue increasing your expenses exponentially that they end up running over your incomes. And this is a catch which many adults out there suffer from. They are leading lives anchored on lifestyle inflation. They are keen to improve their lifestyle. Case in point, you have a 20% increase in salary. You feel like you need to revamp your entire household, okay? You feel like you need to change the destination you go out there for chilling and relaxing. That is called lifestyle inflation, because you need to be doing other things other than that. Just because maybe your income has increased, it doesn't mean you need to inflate your lifestyle. And just because you feel like you want to fit in a given social class, don't inflate your lifestyle out there to impress anyone. Because at the end, you are responsible for your own financial well-being, and no one is going to come to save you. And then, the seventh way you can do it is to keep your investments sacred. What do I mean? Guys, out here is two things. You don't need to be telling everybody about your investments, okay? That is none of their business, right? Unless they are your investing partner and they are your accountability partner in that particular investment. And then the second thing, you need to develop investing discipline, right? When you start investing, don't cash out your investment because of rumors, because of fear, because of your appetites. That is going to drain your quest towards building wealth and becoming financially free. As part of establishing financial boundaries is you treating your investments as sacred. Don't go there to cash out your investments to be able to support other people out there because they have a habit of coming to you to get support. Treat your investment as sacred because the money you cash out, rarely does it go back into the investment. Once you figure that out, you're going to invest for the long term to ensure you are financially healthy and you have the appropriate boundaries established. And then the eighth way which you can establish financial boundaries is you learning to say no without feeling guilty. Guys, out here as adults, we have freedom of speech. We have also rights, which at the center of it, we need to protect our rights. When somebody, for example, asks you for something, you genuinely are not in a position to support them. You just indicating, apologies, I'm not in a position to support you now is sufficient. You don't need to over-explain yourself, because why are you over-explaining yourself? Yet, it is someone else's mandate, it isn't yours. You need to learn to say no without feeling guilty, because most at times, you feeling guilty is what is going to make you second guess your decision. Learn to say no without feeling guilty, and at the end, you will be able to build wealth by establishing appropriate financial boundaries. And then, the ninth thing is that protect your financial privacy and plans by all means. As I've said, your financial privacy is your own privacy. It is you to protect your plans, your savings, your investments, your change in salary. All these are your private financial business. It's not public. So learn to keep your mouth shut. Keep them to yourself or an accountability partner who you have been working with for the longest. It's as simple as that. You oversharing out here is what creates expectations. It gives people ideas that they can tap into your resources. So learn to keep your finances private, and that way you're going to be in a much better standing, because that already by itself is a way of establishing financial boundaries, okay? And then the 10th and last way you can establish financial boundaries is you putting your future self first. Simply ensure you safeguard your future. Guys, that's why you need to be establishing all these boundaries, even utilizing automation. For example, utilize the existing systems even to push money to your savings, to push money to your investments, and so forth. Because your future, you are responsible for your future financially. Don't sacrifice your future by pleasing people at this particular point in time, or even so, pleasing current appetites, and then at the end, you'll end up suffering. Put your future first in everything you do, and at the center of it is ensuring in future you are financially healthy. Guys, those are 10 ways you can go about establishing financial boundaries, which are gonna ensure you are financially okay today and you continue being financially okay tomorrow. I hope you've gotten a thing or two from this video. Comment down below which is your favorite tip among the tips I've shared with you, which are gonna assist you protect or ensure you have financial boundaries. Cheers, guys, and catch up in the next video.